Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment.
Hello, my name is Kofi, also known as Old Kof or Teacher Kofi. Welcome to Piano Time. In this video, we'll have a discussion on the issue of sound and also of the ear and how to use these two tools to our advantage in terms of music. Now, the issue of sound is a bit challenging or technical, but I'll do very well to make it as simple as possible. So stay tuned. Now, back to sound. Sound is simply created when an object is in motion or when an object moves. In other words, when there's the vibration of an object, then there's the generation of sound. Now, you realize that I'm using two terminologies here. Number one, an object. Two, movement. An object is simply anything that can be seen and touched. Okay? It is synonymous to matter. Matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. Good. And so that's what defines an object. Now, movement is simply the displacement of an object. Or in other words, when an object changes over time, then there's what we term as movement. Good. Now, let me quickly demonstrate that. My hand is obviously an object. Okay, let me use my two hands and demonstrate this particular thing. Now, at this moment, there is no generation of sound, isn't it? Good. Now, look at this very carefully. Now, there's the generation of sound, isn't it? And then what is happening? You realize that two objects came in contact with each other and there was movement, and that's what generated sound. Great. Now, there's also sound generation when an object is in motion against the air. Okay. Obviously, this particular movement will not be heard by any human being. But there are some animals that can detect the slightest of movement, like cats, rats, dogs, dolphins. There are some animals that can easily detect certain movements. Yes, why? Because they have better hearing than human beings, or their ears are sensitive, than human beings. Now, but you can also try this. You can pick your hand and then move it quickly against your ear, and then you hear something. Try that a few times. You realize that there was a generation of sound. So once there's motion, there's going to be the generation of sound. Now, there are three means by which sound is generated. Sound is generated through air or through liquids and also through solids. So bear in mind. But the type of sound that is generated is also dependent on the weight of the object and also of the make. Now, let's talk about the weight. Obviously, if something is very heavy, you compare something that is very heavy to something that is very light. You leave both objects in the same height. You leave both objects. You realize that the one which has weight will generate a very loud sound. Good. Now, the make or the type of material used in making the object also determines the type of sound that is generated. Now, something that is made up of steel will obviously be different from something that is made up of rubber. So all these things contribute a lot to the sound production. So sound can be heard everywhere. We can hear sounds all around us in our bedrooms, in our kitchens, in our bathrooms. Everywhere we go, when cars are moving, you hear sounds. When humans are moving, you hear sounds. You hear sounds everywhere. It's something that is part of human life. But there are certain sounds that are practical when it comes to music. And those are what we want to pay attention to. And those sounds or notes are what is referred to as those melodious sounds for music. Those notes, they have pitch. They have what we call pitch. And it also has a particular time or time duration. So that's what we want to concentrate on. And in our first lesson, that's what we described. And we refer to those sounds as keys. And so you can refresh yourself on that particular lesson. Good. Now, the ear is also fundamental when it comes to sound or music. Why? Because that's what receives the signals and then interprets them in a particular way for its intended purpose. And so if the ear is not working well, obviously it's going to affect the output. Good. Now, the ear also works just like the eyes. The way we are able to tell colors. You see something and you say, oh, this is red. This is blue, this is green, this is violet, and stuff like that. Our keyboard is made up of black and white keys. This is the black part of the keys, and then this is the white. The same way, the ear should be able to interpret the sounds that are generated musically. And that's what we want to concentrate on. We are going to choose key C and obviously go for the Ionian scale or the sofa notation for the time being. Good. So you should be able to interpret all the notes that are generated within the sofa notation. Now, this is the sofa notation, which is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Good. So you should be able to tell all the notes contained there in the Ionian scale. Unfortunately, there's no one here to help me pick up the notes. This is what I want you to do. Or let me demonstrate that. I should be able to pick any note and then interpret them. For example, if I play, I'll try as much as possible not to look at the keyboard. I'm obviously looking at you. I'm going to just drop my left hand on any note. Okay, good. Now, this is Fa. This is T. Obviously, I played two notes, which is Do and T. So this is T. I also played two notes again, which is Mi and Re and then Mi. This is La. This is Do. I played Do and Re. This is La again. This is Mi. This is Fa. I'm playing two notes, which is Do. This is Re. This is T. This is Mi. This is So. So you should be able to do this stuff also. Now, how do you do that? Obviously, there's a way or there's a system. There are applications or apps that help with some of these things. But first, let me explain what really happens. Now, you can pick just the first two notes, which is the Do and then Re, and then do well to memorize them. Now, let's start with the Do. Sorry, Do. Now, you sing it, you play it and then sing it, okay? Do, Do. Do it over a number of times. You can do it for 5 minutes. Do, just to memorize the sound of Do. You can even stop and then sing it. Do. Go back to it. Do. Do. Now, when you are good with it, now add the second note, which is the Re. 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 Sing it also for a couple of times. And then go back to the first one. Do. Do. And then to Re. Do. So the idea is for you to what? Memorize or listen carefully and absorb those notes. Okay, just these two notes. Okay, Re, this is Do, 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 Re, Re. Now, when you are done, maybe after 10 minutes or 15 minutes, now have someone help you with this. Let the person play it for you to what? Interpret them. It's like a test, okay? Let the person play it and then it can be anybody, a novice, can even do that for you. Now, when you are perfect with that, you will now add the third note. Obviously, I rather instruct that you do two notes in a day. So don't be in a hurry to compile or do for all the notes. So just do two notes in a day. And then if you are good with that, you can even do it for a couple of days, maybe 2-3 days. And then when you are perfect with it, now you move to the next note. So when you are perfect with the first two notes, and then you have to add the third note, which is the Mi. So then you play the Do, Re, Do, Re, Mi. Also memorize the Mi a couple of times. Mi, 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 Re, Do. Now, when you are also good with that, now you add the next note, which is Fa. Okay? So you just memorize Fa, play it a couple of times, memorize it, do the same thing, and then have someone test you on that until you are done with the whole scale. Good. Obviously, there are some who will not be able to do this, and so you will need a teacher. There are people who are self-taught. They are able to teach themselves and all that. But how do you know whether you are doing it right or wrong? So I believe that you can try it and record it and send it to me. And I will just assess it and know whether you are doing it right or you are doing it wrong. Good. Now, like as I said, there are other applications that help or support this kind of thing. And so you can look for them. Ear training, ear tutor. There are so many of them when you go to, or when you use Android phones or even when you have iPhones, you should be able to also look for them. Good. So now the next thing I want you to do is also memorize the progressions or the 1-4-5 chords that we learned. Okay, so when you pick the one chord, listen to the sound. Now this is a group of notes, so it's not going to be easy, but you can easily hear when it is one chord. Okay, now the one chord is made up of the do, mi, so. So that is the one chord. So play it a couple of times and memorize it. You can hear do there, you can hear mi there, you can hear so there. Okay. When you are good with that, you also move to the next chord or the next triad, which is the fa triad or the 4 triad. Okay. Now do it a couple of times, and then when you are good with that, you also memorize the so. Do that every day, because you are going to apply them, especially when songs are sung or when songs are being played. You should be able to follow the progressions through. Now, if you are able to interpret them, obviously you'll be able to play them through. But if you can't dictate or determine that you have to use 1 chord or 5 chord, then it's going to be a problem. Good. That is why I am particular about this. You need to train yourself, or you need to have someone train you. And then obviously when you do that over a couple of days or even a couple of weeks, you'll be very good. You'll be good at it, and then you can use it for whatever purpose which you intend using it for. Good. I want you to keep on practicing. At least 30 minutes, an hour a day will do. Let's keep hope alive. I'm sure you become a very good pianist. This is where we draw the curtain. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, share, and like. God bless you. See you next time. Enjoy.